I'm Paul Levinson, and welcome to Light On, Light Through, episode 348, my review of The Pale Blue Eye. Well, a murder mystery with all kinds of twists featuring a young Edgar Allan Poe quoting, quote, "Full many a flower is born to blush unseen," unquote, from Thomas Gray's Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard, my all-time favorite poem, by the way, written in 1750. Well, what more could I ask for? And The Pale Blue Eye has all of that, as well as a first-class story of life at West Point in 1830. So I couldn't ask for much more regarding a film indeed. This gem of a movie is in effect a secret history of Poe. That is, a story of what happened to him in 1830 when he was a cadet at West Point and a newly published poet. A story which could have happened, but no doubt did not, which is why we do not know anything about it. We find Poe already a published poet at this time. Our Real History records his first book of poetry was published in 1827. And his involvement in a case in which hearts and other organs are removed from bodies, and his success in figuring out who the ultimate villain was, who, by the way, was also and mostly a good guy, provides a brilliant case study of how Poe already had the chops and further developed them to become the father of the mystery writing genre in our real history. Some very general spoilers are ahead. Meanwhile, the mystery story in the movie is itself first class. The ultimate solution is that one person was the murderer for the sake of revenge, and two other people dismembered most of the dead bodies. This is itself a solution that the real Poe in our history, and for that matter Agatha Christie too, would have come up with in their writings. Like all good secret histories, The Pale Blue Eye offers satisfying anchors to what we know of the real Poe in our history. The stolen physical heart shows up in our reality as one of Poe's most famous short stories, The Telltale Heart. The name of a beloved and major character shows up as the title of one of Poe's best-known poems. And of course there's a raven, though for all I know that could have been a crow. Are ravens and crows the same species? I looked it up, and the best answer I can find is, well, sort of, or maybe. Now, the West Point and surrounding upstate ambience in the 1830s in this movie feels just right, at least from what I know of it from my late 20th century, early 21st century experience. There's nothing quite like the Hudson River at this point, with the sheer jagged cliffs and the verdant trees and that uniquely upstate shade of green. John Crowley captured it well in his science fantasy trilogy, as did Scott Cooper, who directed and wrote the script of The Pale Blue Eye, based on Louis Bayard's novel of the same name, which I haven't read. And while we're at it, Harry Melling, whom I recall from the Harry Potter movies and The Queen's Gambit, was excellent as Poe. He even looks a lot like Poe. As was Christian Bale, who, of course, I've seen in a ton of movies. He played retired New York detective Landor. Robert Duvall as Professor Jean Pepe, and Gillian Anderson as Julia Marquis were pleasures to see. And Lucy Boynton, whom I actually don't recall seeing before, well, she was just right as Leah Marquis. All in all, I'd say that's one stunningly fine cast. If you are at all a Poe fan, you won't regret seeing this movie. I'm a huge Poe fan, and I count it as one of the best films I've seen in years. And I hope you enjoyed that review of The Pale Blue Eye. I'll be back here soon with reviews of some more of these great movies and series that are popping up all over television, streaming, and cable for the most part. In the meantime, stay safe, stay sound, and keep doing whatever you can to help those brave people of Ukraine get the Russians out of their country once and for all.
The Light on Light Through podcast.
Athens, 2042 AD. She ripped the paper in half, then ripped the halves, then ripped what was left again into bits and pieces of history that could have been. Sierra Waters had read once that, years ago, it was thought that men made love for the thrill, while women made love for the sense of connection it gave them.
Curled Up with a Good Book says, Sierra Waters is sexy as hell. You can find out more about The Plot to Save Socrates by Paul Levinson at theplottosavesocrates.com.
Paul Levinson spills code about an ancient biotech war raging on in secret for centuries.